Hello and welcome to WION Live Broadcast. I'm Ollie Barrett, live from London, and these are the headlines. Russian troops aim to take control of the city of Mariupol, part of an anticipated massive onslaught from Moscow in eastern Ukraine. Britain says should Russia be found to have used chemical weapons in Mariupol, all options are on the table in terms of how the West might respond. The United States orders all non-essential employees at its Shanghai consulate to leave as the Chinese government enforces hard lockdowns to contain COVID-19. Sri Lanka announces a form of default on its $51 billion foreign debt as the island nation grapples with its worst economic crisis in memory. The European Union adopts rules allowing medicines made in Britain to go to Northern Ireland, creating an exception to a post-Brexit treaty that requires goods sent to the UK province to be EU compliant. Climate activists block the entrance to Lloyd's of London in protest at the insurance sector's backing of the fossil fuel industry. And we'll start today with those claims that chemical weapons have been used in the Ukrainian city, the port city of Mariupol, by Russian forces. The United Kingdom says it's investigating, as does the United States. The UK says all options can be considered in terms of a response if chemical weapons are found to have been deployed.
Where that anybody can go. There are other intelligence assets that may be able to assist in that, but those are capabilities that you wouldn't want to talk about on air. But verifying it is clearly very important, because if chemical weapons have been used, that is a very important moment for our Prime Minister and other heads of government around the world to consider how we would respond. But as I've said, all options are on the table, and President Putin should be clear that the use of chemical weapons is simply not acceptable, and he shouldn't expect the West to stand by if they were used.
The President of Ukraine has used his nightly video address to warn that Russia may deploy outlawed chemical weapons, but he did not say that they had already done so.
Today we heard a statement from the occupiers confirming they are preparing for a new stage in their terror against us and our defenders. One of the spokespeople of the invaders said they are considering using chemical weapons against the defenders of Mariupol. We take it very seriously. I want to remind world leaders that the possible use of chemical weapons had been already discussed by the Russian military. At the time, it meant that the reaction to the Russian aggression should have been harsher and faster.
Well, chemical weapon production, use and stockpiling is banned under the 1997 Chemical Weapons Convention. Russian-backed separatist forces in the east of Ukraine have denied using chemical weapons in Mariupol. But should it prove to be the case, it would mark a significant escalation in the war that Russia launched on February the 24th. And the battle for Mariupol is heading towards a potentially decisive phase, with Ukrainian Marines holed up in the Azovstal industrial district. Ukraine says tens of thousands of people have likely been killed already in Russia's assault on the city.
Ukrainian leaders on Monday said tens of thousands of people have likely been killed in Russia's assault on the southeastern city of Mariupol. Reuters has confirmed widespread destruction but could not verify the number of those killed in the city. If confirmed, it would be by far the largest number of dead so far reported in one place in Ukraine, where cities, towns, and villages have come under relentless bombardment, and bodies, including civilians, have been scattered in the streets. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Monday pleaded for military aid to South Korean lawmakers, saying Russia intended to destroy the city.
Mariupol has been destroyed. There are tens of thousands of dead. But even despite this, the Russians are not stopping their offensive.
Russia has denied targeting civilians. To the north, rescuers on Monday continued to search for the missing in the recently liberated town of Borodyanka near Kiev, digging through the rubble of buildings as family and neighbors looked on.
Shock.
It's shocking. What else can I say? People died. Young people died. Such good people. And it's only what we know. But we don't know how many of them died.
Local rescuers told Reuters they did not know how many civilians were under the debris, but had gotten phone calls from people claiming to be trapped under the collapsed building. As the siege continues in the south and east, a Ukrainian rights group warned the UN Security Council on Monday that rape was being used as a weapon of war. UN Women Executive Director Sima Bahous told the Security Council that all allegations must be independently investigated.
We are increasingly hearing of rape and sexual violence. The combination of mass displacement with the large presence of conscripts and mercenaries and the brutality displayed against Ukrainian civilians has raised all red flags.
Ukraine says Russian forces are massing for a new offensive on eastern areas, including Mariupol, where people have been without water, food, and energy supplies for weeks.
Austrian Chancellor Karl Nehammer met Vladimir Putin on Monday. The two leaders spoke for roughly 75 minutes at Putin's residence near Moscow. During a briefing following the meeting, the Australian Chancellor said that his trip to Moscow was not a friendly visit and said that the two had a direct and serious conversation over recent developments in Ukraine. He said he got no optimistic impressions of Vladimir Putin regarding any possible solutions to ending the conflict.
Generell keinen optimistischen Eindruck, den ich Ihnen mitbringen kann von diesem Gespräch mit Präsident Putin. Die Offensive wird offensichtlich massiv vorbereitet. Deshalb aber auch das klare Eintreten dafür, dass es den Zugang des Internationalen Roten Kreuzes braucht, der stabil ist. Es ist wichtig, den persönlichen Kontakt zu haben und persönlich den Präsidenten mit den Wirklichkeiten des Krieges, so wie er derzeit stattfindet und sich vor allem auch für die Europäische Union darstellt, zu konfrontieren. Und diesen Weg sollte es auch weiterhin geben, damit es kein Vakuum gibt in der Klarheit der Folgen des Krieges, diese auch aufzuzeigen für die Russische Föderation.
Nehammer says he told President Putin very clearly that sanctions will remain and could be intensified as long as people keep dying in Ukraine. He also says he told Putin of the urgent need for humanitarian corridors. Nehammer's trip to Moscow follows a visit to Kiev on Saturday, where he held talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He also visited the town of Bucha near the Ukrainian capital, the scene of alleged war crimes by Russian forces.
Venez dans mes bras. Ces violences, ces incestes, le soir revenir dans l'Europe. Personne jamais ne relève leur incohérence.
To the French presidential elections now, and fresh off the back of a first-round victory, incumbent President Emmanuel Macron has jumped straight back onto the campaign trail as has his far-right challenger. Emmanuel Macron is hunting for more support in the country's former industrial heartlands. He's been campaigning in the town of Denain, where almost half of the population lived in poverty in 2019. It's considered a blue-collar stronghold of his rival Marine Le Pen. Voters gathered to interrogate some of his policies on pension reforms and vaccines. Others congratulated him and wished him well for the second round.
Bonjour Monsieur le Président. Faut convaincre. Vous, merci beaucoup.
Merci à vous.
On espère vraiment que vous serez encore là 5 ans. Je suis vraiment contente de ce que vous avez fait. Et donc on y croit.
S'il vous plaît,
on espère.
Pensez à la France du bas. Je sais pour ça que je suis là aussi. Et j'y pense. Ils vivent dans la misère.
Marine Le Pen headed to the central WION region where she met with supporters, accusing Macron of doing too little to help voters with the rising cost of living. She repeated her promise to slash taxes on food and fuel. She also denied that she wants France to leave the European Union.
25% sur le quinquennat pour ça, c'est des choses qui peuvent avoir des répercussions et transformer en réalité une situation en situation hors contrôle. Oui. Alors moi, je suis très inquiète de ça parce que je vois tous les nuages s'amonceler et un président de la République qui fait mine de ne pas les voir. Prenez conscience qu'au-delà de l'augmentation du gaz, du fuel, de l'électricité et du carburant auquel les Français sont confrontés aujourd'hui, il y a un autre nuage noir qui arrive sur la tête des Français et qui va être l'inflation des prix de l'alimentation. Déjà, cette inflation s'est fait sentir depuis l'arrivée d'Emmanuel Macron à la tête de l'État. Les fruits et légumes, par exemple, ont augmenté de 25%.
The runoff vote looks set to be closer than their 2017 contest. Polls looking at second-round voting intentions point to around 53% for Macron and 47% for Le Pen on average. But one poll by the IFOP fiducial group suggested that Macron could have only a razor-thin win with 51 to 49. Well, our correspondent Ross Cullen has sent us this report from Paris.
Well, Jean-Luc Mélenchon came third in the first round of results here on Sunday. A late surge seeing him almost overtake Marine Le Pen to get into that second place and be able to move to the runoff. But Le Pen held him off. So he came third, but he was clearly in third, well ahead of the other candidates further down the ballot paper. And with his support, there come a big chunk of left-wing voters. Now, some of them are so far left that the populism from Jean-Luc Mélenchon, actually they can see themselves perhaps pledging their votes to Marine Le Pen, according to some polls, but their leader has said not a single vote from people who voted for me must be transferred to Marine Le Pen in the second round. That is what he has said. He said no vote for Marine Le Pen. He did not openly say you should vote for Emmanuel Macron. It will be up to his voters to make their own minds up. They are particularly disappointed. They feel that Emmanuel Macron has not stuck fully to the centrism he promised, bringing in both left-wing and right-wing policies, bringing in both centre-left and centre-right politicians. They feel that he is more or less governed as a president of the right. That is how the far left so far are not flocking, not fully convinced that they should be backing Emmanuel Macron. Macron does need them in order to get over the line to win that re-election in the second round. We have heard that Eric Zemmour and his extreme right defeated group, the party known as Reconquest, has pledged his support. He says his voters should vote for Marine Le Pen. The centre-right Republicans, centre-left Socialists, the Greens, even the Communists have all overtly said that we have been defeated, you should vote for Emmanuel Macron. So what he is waiting for now is hoping to be able to convince those people who voted for Jean-Luc Mélenchon that they should vote for Emmanuel Macron next time round, and the incumbent president is particularly trying to woo them by focusing on highlighting his green policies over the next 2 weeks.
As France votes to elect a new president, it's Macron versus Le Pen again. Macron, Le Pen advance to April 24th runoff. Pro-European economic liberal versus far-right nationalist.
Décisif pour l'avenir de la nation. Plus rien ne doit être comme avant.
Will Macron win a second term?
Le peuple français s'est exprimé et me fait l'honneur d'être qualifié au second tour face au président sortant.
Or will France choose its first woman leader?
The French president has himself admitted that this election...
WION gets you ground reports from Paris. French election 2022. WION continuous coverage.
Election season has also kicked off in Nigeria, and the Vice President has announced his bid to run for the top job this year.
Nigerian Vice President Yemi Osinbajo intends to run for the presidency next February, he announced on Monday. In a post on Twitter, Osinbajo said he would be seeking the ruling All Progressives Party's ticket in a bid to succeed his boss, Muhammadu Buhari. With Buhari set to step down after 2 4-year terms, the 2023 ballot is expected to be a hotly contested affair. Osinbajo's supporters tout him as a safe pair of hands.
There has been a significant shortfall.
Who would provide stability and pursue a more liberal economic policy, including the easing of forex rules. But he may find it difficult to distance himself from Buhari's policies. Critics accuse the president of racking up huge national debts and failing to tackle insecurity that has escalated across the country. Osinbajo, a 61-year-old law professor and Southern Christian pastor, will also have to fend off a challenge from Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. He's a wealthy power broker and former governor of Lagos State. Osinbajo lacks a political base of his own and will need to build a strong coalition of supporters with deep pockets. That's if he wants to take on the political machinery of Tinubu, who helped campaign for and deliver victory to Buhari in 2015 and 2019. Buhari has not said whether he will support Osinbajo or Tinubu.
Warner Brothers Discovery has started off its first full day of trading in the green. The combined media giant's shares were up almost 6% nearly an hour after opening at around $24 a share.
Shares of the newly formed Warner Brothers Discovery fell on Monday, the company's first day of trading after its $43 billion mega merger. But shares of AT&T, which officially handed off Warner Media to Discovery on Friday, soared more than 7%. The new media and streaming firm, which brings HBO Max and Discovery Plus under one roof and owns blockbuster franchises such as Batman and the Harry Potter movies, faces stiff competition from a crowded field of streamers, including Netflix, Disney Plus, and Apple TV. Longtime Discovery veteran David Zaslav will lead the new company, which one analyst said was in capable hands, and expected Zaslav to help Warner Brothers Discovery transition into a direct-to-consumer powerhouse. Other analysts saw headwinds, including rising interest rates and slowing subscriber growth across the streaming industry. JP Morgan said it was an attractive time to buy shares of AT&T, which the brokerage called defensive and inexpensive, as the telecom major transitions to focus on its core business.
With the deteriorating climate crisis, but also the conflict in Ukraine and the squeeze on energy supplies, many countries around the world, and companies too, have been embracing solar energy in a big way. And now Germany has some ambitious plans as well.
Look at this floating solar power plant built on a quarry lake in Germany. The photovoltaic plant will be able to provide 3 megawatts of power, which is equivalent to a typical onshore wind turbine. It comes as Germany scrambles to find alternative sources of energy and phase out its reliance on Russian oil and gas in the wake of Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. This renewable technology could help wean Germany off Russian fossil fuels. These floating panels will save 1,100 tons of carbon dioxide emissions a year compared with the same amount of power produced from fossil fuels. The plant, with 5,800 modules on 360 floating elements, will go into service on May 24th. It is said Germany could house around 20 gigawatts of solar energy on water. Recently, India too inaugurated its largest floating solar power plant. Situated in the Indian city of Tuticorin, this 48-acre floating solar power plant has been set up on large water reservoir that spans 62 acres. Other countries are also powering towards a low-carbon future. It's time the world started taking climate objectives more seriously.
Hollywood actor Johnny Depp and his ex-wife Amber Heard are headed back to court for a defamation case revolving around allegations of spousal abuse.
Actor Johnny Depp arrived at a Virginia courthouse on Monday to square off again against ex-wife Amber Heard, who arrived separately for the latest chapter in their legal battle. Depp is suing Heard for $50 million, claiming she defamed him when she wrote a 2018 opinion piece in the Washington Post about being a survivor of domestic abuse. Depp has denied the allegations, and while the op-ed never mentioned the Hollywood star by name, Depp's lawyers have said it was clear that Heard was referencing him and that the piece damaged his film career and reputation. Defamation cases are generally an uphill battle for plaintiffs, especially when they're public figures like Depp. He must prove by clear and convincing evidence that Heard knowingly made false claims. Judith Poller, a New York-based family lawyer who is not associated with the lawsuit, told Reuters that if Depp were her client, she'd likely suggest he not pursue the case.
You subject yourself to cross-examination. Your whole life becomes part of this. I don't know that I would say go ahead and do it. I don't see what the end result is here. And I think it could hurt him even further.
Heard, for her part, will argue that she is immune from liability because her op-ed piece on domestic violence dealt with a matter of public concern. She has brought her own countersuit for $100 million against Depp, saying he smeared her by calling her a liar. Depp and Heard both submitted long lists of potential witnesses. Heard's includes her ex-boyfriend and Tesla chief executive Elon Musk, with whom she texted about Depp. The trial comes less than 2 years after Depp lost a libel case against British tabloid The Sun for labeling him a wife-beater. A London High Court judge dismissed the charge, ruling that he had in fact repeatedly assaulted Heard and put her in fear for her life. The trial could last for up to 6 weeks.
And finally, the American pop singer Britney Spears has announced she's pregnant with her third child. We'll leave you with some more details on that story. I'm Ollie Barrett in London. Thanks as ever for watching.
This is right, Arab.